smoke, man.
Boz, the Bowie Knife Copeland, Hunter Performance Center, under 120s.
Let's go, Boz! Come on.
Are you alright?
Reset. You want to wait 5 or you're right? No, I'm good.
He's fucking
Lock in, go! Come on, cunt. Come on, show me you got it. Come on, boys. Everything under the... Come on, boys. Yeah! Let's go!
HBC 24!
I forgot I had the ball.
And welcome back to episode 2, volume 2 of the Gumption series, Road to, I don't know what comp I'm doing just yet, but it's a road to a comp. Thanks everyone for joining me once again. So today was my primary deadlift day. So Thursdays are made up of a lot of deadlifting because I love volume when it comes to deadlifts. It just seems to really help me build my baseline. It usually does for everyone when you do volume. But consisted of a number of singles just to get the week 1 underway. And they were all set at the same load. I don't really need to do much more than just the same load at a very lightweight for week 1. And then usually I'm like big jump enthusiast. So depending on what Steve thinks will work best for me, usually I'll go like +5 next week, then maybe +10, then +15, and then call the block there because I don't need to push things very hard in the first block. And this is really important because when it comes to, I guess, getting ready for a competition, it's really important that like you're not, I guess, blowing your load too early when it comes to actually getting ready to peak and whatnot. But you need to stop chewing that. Stop it. Excuse me. Anyway, back. So just essentially setting the baseline, pacing myself, making sure that like, I don't re-injure myself. That's really, really important. But deadlifts were great. I felt zero pain, which I can't even explain how nice that feels. It's the best thing in the world, just to be able to do the thing that I love and not actually be held back from it, because the last 8 weeks before this week has just been really, really tough, mentally speaking, just with not being able to obviously load anything on the bar that didn't cause pain. But my obviously attention to detail and my rehab's been really paying off, and I'm super stoked with the end result. And yeah, it's just been all ship sailing since. But after my sumo, I did some bench press. Currently working on like a new position with my external rotation and trying to mimic what I do when I do a push-up. Essentially just basically trying to actually tuck more. And it actually feels like it's getting more natural. It does feel weak, but like anything, when you try something new, especially in this sport, it's going to feel weak and it's not going to feel very strong. So just trusting the process, making sure that I'm just lifting to the stand and keeping my ass down, pausing my benches, and just keeping things relatively clean. But I had a bit of a breakthrough of making sure that if I can keep my neck flat on the bench, then I'm not going to feel like I can't push, because my shoulders are able to be in a position that feels like I can. Because if I'm not on my neck and I feel like I'm laying on my shoulders, then it feels like I'm a fucking noodle when I bench, and it's like getting thrown around a fair bit. So that was a bit of a breakthrough tonight, which was nice. Moving on after that, I had some single arm pull downs on an incline bench, and that was pretty good. Like I've been doing it for a while now, like 6 or 5 blocks, I'm not sure, but pretty stock standard. My lats are fucking torched from last night doing the dumbbell rows, which you would have saw in episode 1. And it feels like my back is just like fatigued just because I haven't done dumbbell rows in like 5 years. So cheers, Steve. And then went upstairs and moved on to mag grip rows. Pretty straightforward, just trying to focus on getting a good retraction and elevation, which is something that I need to work on in regards to not posture, but my powerlifting posture when it comes to getting a bigger bench. Because I sit so far low through my shoulders, training the direction of getting more elevation and retraction is something that I'm trying to ingrain into my upper back, and that's going to evidently help my bench press. And then finished off with some just normal rehab stuff, because my primary squat day immediately follows my primary deadlift day. I just try and make sure that I'm doing the things Tom has set me out to do, which is loosen off my hamstrings. So jumped in some RDLs, super light. Just basically making sure that I'm keeping my knees fully locked. I'm hinging forward over my forefoot, and I'm actually getting some lower hamstring engagement. If I can feel my lower hamstrings, it means that I'm actually able to open up the back of my hips. So that's really nice to feel. And I plan to add load and maybe do like more of a quote unquote conventional style RDL in the future. But I just want to try and make sure that I'm not overdoing myself in the first block back at full health. And then finally finished up on some 45-degree hyperextension. Same thing, pre-heavy base, not very heavy at all. Just trying to basically get a really big stretch through the back of my hamstrings and open up the back of my hips, which seems to help, obviously, with my pain and allow me to actually get some sort of like internal rotation happening, because the hamstrings being so tight holds me in too much external rotation. So if you're someone that is struggling to experience some sort of internal rotation, try loosening off your hamstrings. So doing some 45 degrees with a lot of stretching or a straight knee RDL. Generally speaking, if you're someone who experiences back pain or knee pain, it's because of lack thereof IR, then usually you can tell if someone needs to do RDLs if they can't simply touch their toes with a straight knee. So toe touches are a really good assessment tool if you're actually interested in those anatomical markers. when it comes to assessing someone with their movement capacities. But wraps up day 3 of week 1. I'm going to head home now, have a feed, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. And if you haven't already, check out our episode that we just released, episode 32, about technique assessments. We cover 10 videos of people lifting, and it was really, really good. We got out a lot of information that you could potentially learn to obviously improve the craft of your own lifting itself if you want to apply. If you see something that you're doing in your training on the videos and you're like, hey, that could help me, perfect, then give it a go. But I'm going to be doing a number of other videos when it comes to technique assessments with more episodes. So if you're looking to get involved, just wait until we announce it on Instagram and send through your videos, and then Benny and I will be happy to sit down and critique the lifting that you do have. But until then, I'll see you guys tomorrow, and peace out.
I'm making like
So I'm talking to you guys on Saturday because yesterday I squatted, but I didn't actually get to speak to the camera at all, purely because it was my first time since being out of rehab where I was able to actually just lock in as an athlete. And that was something that I was really excited to do, because when you're doing prehab and you're being conscious of how you're moving and tissues you're meant to be feeling and just being a little bit more reserved from, I guess, those athletic qualities, I was able to actually tap into that. So I got my headphones on, I was playing some fucking tunes, not sniffing ammonia just yet or anything like that, but just getting into the mindset of just feeling like an athlete again. It was so good to just lock in that sense. But yeah, I was able to warm up to a big single at 2:15, I think, and it moved really easily. I do feel a little bit weak in regards to the unrack and feeling the bar on my back, but I just know, just as a coach, as an athlete, being in this position before, that it's simply just an adaptation thing where I need to expose myself to these heavier loads, go through these feelings of what it's meant to feel like, and then over time it will feel lighter as the bar gets heavier. So looking forward to those adaptations to occur. But yeah, smoked through my back offs, which felt fantastic, and then didn't get any sort of pain at all, which was really lovely. And began my bench. I did a tertiary bench session. I only had an easy single at 130, trying a different strategy this block where my tertiary day isn't as volume dominant, because I had a thing last block where my Wednesday session outperformed my Saturday session, and before my Wednesday session I was doing a lot of volume 2 days beforehand and then nothing the day before. So just trialing a similar sort of strategy where I'm not burning as much fuel the day before and doing a single at 130 and then 3 sets of 3 at 125, which for me is really, really easy. So I'm going to see how that goes and how that ends up preparing myself for my primary bench day on the Saturday. I finish off my leg day. I call it a leg day because it is a lot of legs, but I did a lot of leg extensions. I always do NRAPs on my leg extensions just because this is where I feel like I get the most stimulation from that exercise. We have this thing called like kingpin, and we can put it into the stack and add additional weight to it on top of it. So that's the first time I've actually been able to add more weight onto it since before rehab, which has been fantastic, because usually I would get to leg extensions with the injury and I wouldn't be able to do it because my knee would start hurting, which is super weird because the injury was back related, but it's all to do with the hamstring. If I can keep the hamstring loose and lengthened, my knee doesn't hurt. So thankfully I was able to add load, go beyond the full stack and actually hit close to my target RPE. I'm probably going to add more load in the coming weeks, but it was good to just get a good pump and bang out some reps. Then moved on to my single leg hamstring curls. I just focused on making sure that I was doing my curls through more of an internally rotated femur, just because that's where my hamstrings need to pull from when it comes to a lot of my exercises, because I'm so externally rotated dominant. It's purely because I just am so, I guess, leveraged towards sumoing in a position that biases a lot of it, because my range of motion is so small. So getting my femur twisted in and then curling in that direction really just helps me fire those tissues in a way that I want them to. And then finish off with some belt squats. So I do a lot of like pre-exhaustive stuff beforehand, before I do my belt squats, because I can really load that fucking thing up. So I think I did 4 sets altogether, which is quite a fair bit. But when you're under a lot of fatigue from the leg extensions doing an MRAP, then the single leg hamstring curls, you're feeling that, I guess, fatigue creep in, which is something that I was that we are trying to do as from a programming standpoint, so I don't have to fuck myself as hard by putting so much weight on the belt squat. So I worked up to, I think, 9 plates, which is still a fair bit, but it's not as much as I would do if I was to do belt squats straight after my primary squats. So I'm just going to keep that kind of like static for now, because if we change too much of the intensity variables around something like a belt squat where you can intensify it quite a fair bit, then it can bleed into those other sessions later in the week. So just going to keep that static for now, do 7, 8, 9 plates, like ascending sets in load, and then therefore we know what the variables are in regards to what's affecting the program, as the only variables that are changing is the intensity on my secondary and primary day. As soon as we start adding another thing into the mix that creates different variable changes in the programming outcome, like a belt squat or an RDL or something that isn't fixed, then that's where we can run into some trouble. So just going to keep that static. After that, I went home, had a really good dinner, had fucking big steak, garlic bread, and some mixed vegetables. I'll put a photo right here. And it was good. I woke up feeling heavy as shit. I weighed in at 86 kilos, which is the heaviest I've been in a while. But time to start turning that around as of next week. I'm going to be increasing my step count. I currently only do 3,000 steps a day, which is really, really low. But it's just the basis of my job. I sit on my couch, I sit at the desk, on my laptop, on my phone, working all day. So looking forward to actually being a little more active, take the dogs for a walk, increase that step count to about 7,000, and then that will give me an extra, 4,000 a day, times that by 7, that's 28,000 steps a week, which is a lot of extra exercise. So that should hopefully drop me down a little bit to like 85.3, 85.2, and then that's in striking distance of making my weight cut, which I'd usually feel really comfortable doing. As for other things that happened yesterday, we got to see Boz squat a fucking big PB, which was fantastic. He squatted 235, I think, at Junior Nationals back in April, and now we're in August, and he just squatted 260, which is insane. He also benched 150 kilos as well, which is really big for him because I think he only benched like 140 at Junior Nationals. So he's really, really accelerating his progress, which is fantastic to see. I got to see Dan Lee squat a massive load as well. He did 205. And he's currently making in a deficit, trying to reach a new weight class of 59 kilos, which is something that we're both really excited about. But a lot of the hard work is ahead of him because he's yet to obviously drop a lot more weight. But we're just going to monitor the programming variables and obviously the intensity and how that affects him and how he feels. Because obviously when you change 6 kilos of body weight on your literal limbs, it does change the leverages a little bit. So we are going to be monitoring that. As for my online clients, I was able to see Kelvin Tran bench 170 kilos, which was amazing because he smoked it, went up to 175, missed it. But we know 175 is there if we were like programming to hit 175. So for example, would go 160, 167, then make a 7.5 kilo jump or something like that. But yeah, he hit 170, which is awesome. When we first started working together, I think he only benched 135 from memory. But yeah, he did junior states back in June the 11th, where he benched 137, and then I started coaching him after that meet, and then up until this point now, he's put on 32 kilos on his bench in the space of 2 years, which is like heaps good. That's awesome. So it was good to see Kelvin hit 170 and see him make that amount of progress. But they're 3 clients that I wanted to highlight this week. So Boz, fantastic. Dan Lee, even better. No, I'm kidding. Boz, you did really well, mate. Then Kelvin, just making strides in his bench progression. And it makes sense since he came back from Bench Worlds that he's just picked up, I guess, motivation and a stride for what he should be doing in his bench press. So good on you, mate. But that's pretty much it for day 4 altogether. Moving on to day 5. It's my primary bench day. Obviously, I did my triple and single that was on the Friday as a tertiary session that led into this day, and it did feel a little bit mid, and I'm not expecting it to feel great in week 1, obviously, and given that I've changed my bench technique, moving into this block to a more of an externally rotated position, I am accepting the fact that it's not going to feel as strong just yet, but I am going to just trust it and lean into it more because the fuck thing is about my bench, I can come in and I know I can like just bench 150 probably in any session that I wanted to. So I'm not stressed about that as much because I know that's my comp best. But for me to get to that 155, 160 sort of territory, things need to obviously change and get better. And I'm just letting Steve do that side of the, I guess, problem solving to make it what we want it to be. And yeah, I benched 140, which was the same as what I did on the Wednesday session. It probably felt a little bit harder, but I'm not going to overthink it too much. I'm just going to let, like I said, Steve just think about it more than what I do. And then did heaps of benching after it, did 4 sets of 3, and then I did some touch and go work as well, which was quite easy because it is week 1. And then moved on to some bro out. I did some lateral raises. Starting this block with the basis of where I'm pulling from a little bit higher at the knee, just so I can have more tension across that mid to shorten range. And I actually really enjoy it. It's forcing me to lift with less load, which I think is in turn probably going to be quote unquote safer through such an unnatural range of motion like abducting. So that was quite good to just feel some, I guess, technical tension in that position. And then a new one, did some overhead single arm tricep extensions, just making sure I'm getting tension through the entire range of motion not just letting the weight take the load all the way down to full elbow flexion and quote unquote relaxing. I'm actually feeling my tricep in that bottom end range and trying to make sure that I'm not letting it go and then maintaining that as I push through to full elbow extension. So getting a good length and shortening moment through that exercise. And then I moved on to face pulls, which I haven't done in yonks, focusing on more of like an externally rotated position, which obviously is to focus more on that externally rotated position in the bench, getting good retraction elevation through my shoulders and feeling a full pump through all delts, which was pretty cool. I think that's because I was getting so high through them, but we'll keep progressing them through the entire block. And then I did some ab work with just some simple hanging knee raises with a bit of adduction with a roller, just to basically open up my hips a little bit more and do some direct ab training too. And then finished on some weighted dips, which was nice. Did a top triple. We have a new dip machine here at HPC, and it probably is a regrettable purchase, but given that we needed to make more room on the bottom floor of the gym, I needed to buy something that we could do dips on that wasn't on a machine downstairs, which was part of the strongman component of the gym. But we got rid of that and had to buy this new thing. And it is really wide, so it's quite uncomfortable being in a wider position. But I think it's just a teething thing. We'll get used to it over time. But worked up to top triple with 40 kilos and then did sets of 6 after that with 30. So we're going to try and really push that over the coming block just to make sure that I am getting stronger on them, because I do believe dips are a massive component when it comes to obviously getting stronger, but I haven't really had them in my program to try and push them as hard as I could. Usually it's just like increasing bench frequency and sets, but I think pushing your accessories is probably more important when you do have an average to weak bench press. That's probably going to place more value in your progression than actually increasing frequency or the specificity, so to speak. But the big news for this episode is that I've registered for a comp. I've obviously, as I mentioned at the start of Gumption V2, I was planning on doing the SBD Cup City Strength local session. However, it sold out in literally a couple minutes, which was crazy. I was pretty relaxed on registering for it. I was kind of driving home and I thought, register when I get home. Got home and it was fucking sold out. So I'm on the waiting list for that one, and I would like to do that one just because it lines up with my blocks better. But if I don't get into that one, then I'm going to do Perf Cup, which I just registered for. So I'm stoked to be doing Perf Cup if I do get to do it just here, which is fucking pretty exciting. So if I get to do Perf Cup, it's 2 weeks later. It does mean I probably have to extend one block out by another week and then probably add a taper, because usually with a 4-week block, we don't really taper. We kind of run it in. That's my experience as a coach. And I'm not sure what Steve's plan is, but if I was to do Perf Cup, then it would just mean that I need to make up a week where I do a 5-week block. And it would probably be the one that I'm in right now, which means that I've got like 4 weeks to be called up to do SBD Cup or not. So if I don't get in, then I'm probably just going to commit to Perf Cup, which I've already locked in for, which is great. So yeah, I'll probably do a 5-week block now, and then do a 4-week block, and then do a 4-week block, and then have a taper after that fourth week. And then we can strategize moving into nationals next year, whether I need that taper or not, because I've had some really strong week 4s where like it could be promising where I don't need to taper. And that's really normal for a lot of people who do 4-week blocks, where you're reassuring if the taper week doesn't work out for me, I know that there's a plan B that could work, that we know works for some people. So the goal for this meet, like I said, is simply just for me to qualify for nationals. I think from memory, depending on how these other competitions go leading up to SBD Cup or Perf Cup, there's a few more 83s yet to compete that would be above that 720 to 730 total. I think, like I said, I'm sitting about 5th, 6th place at the moment, but I would really, really love to just go out there and do what I've done in training, build some confidence on the platform. Like this time last year, if I do Perf Cup, was a massive moment in my lifting career where I experienced performance anxiety for the first time. And I've been working with Amelia Potter within regards to helping, I guess, control that anxiety around powerlifting, because I felt super anxious. It was like my first comp with my new coach, who I'm no longer with anymore, but I basically just felt really overwhelmed and pressured to do well in the gym where I used to be coached by. But now I'm back with Perf, like obviously perfectly fine. But back then it was really hard for me to deal with, and I felt like everyone was against me in the gym, and it was really a dark place for me to be in as an athlete. So I'm keen to get back in the ring with those emotions and, be in a competition like Perth Cup where I can actually be a better athlete in that sense. So I'm looking forward to that, and obviously using a lot of those anti-anxiety strategies that I've learned and dealt with over the last couple of years, and actually put out a really good show. And like I said, have no pressure on myself other than the fact of doing the numbers that I've already done. And if I do those numbers, I'll be well and truly locked in for Nationals 2025. So that's my goal, that's my plan. Looking forward to being more of an athlete in the coming weeks. And that wraps up episode 2. So thanks for listening, thanks for watching, thanks for coming up to speed with me. If you can like, comment, subscribe. And also, if you're an athlete that would like to join our Intro to Powerlifting, it's an 8-week powerlifting programming coaching experience. Whether you're in the gym, online, or you just want some semi-private coaching and learn how we program here for a beginner standpoint at HPC, be sure to register via our website. There's a little tab across the top of the website where it says Intro to Powerlifting. Click on that, fill out the details, and we'll get contact with you within 24 hours to sign up. So if you're keen to start powerlifting and learn some more about what we do here, and this is the perfect opportunity to start your strength journey. But as for that, I'll leave you guys to it, and I'll speak to you in the next episode. Bye.
Shake me now.